him up with Snoop Dogg.
At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Washington Nationals. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by the New York Lottery. Get out there and play. By Citi, for each Mets home run at Citi Field, Citi will donate $2,000 to No Kid Hungry. By Chick-fil-A, home of the original chicken sandwich. By Google Pixel, learn more at googlestore.com. And by Toyota, Dear Adventure, ready when you are. Toyota, let's go places. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets play their final regular season game of 2022 as they take on the Washington Nationals. The Mets have already won 100 games this year. They're going to start the postseason on Friday against the San Diego Padres here at Citi Field. But there's still some cleanup to do. And one of the issues is the National League batting title, which may have just been secured for Jeff McNeil. Freddie Freeman needed to go 4 for 4 today to catch McNeil. Freeman had hits his first 2 times up, just flied out to center field, and McNeil, at least at the start of this game, is going to sit on the batting championship.
Well, while you were starting the open, you must have heard me. I had a big yell. I was so excited for Jeff McNeil. He's had an amazing year this year. Deserves that batting title with all he's done, changing his game completely from a year ago and just raining hits all over the field this summer.
Yesterday, Francisco Alvarez got his first 2 big league hits, a home run and a double. He'll be in the starting lineup behind the plate for the first time.
You know, Gary, I wasn't here last night, so I only got to see the highlights of it, but I could feel the bat speed over the TV. I mean, this kid that we saw, you know, just trying to get a hit in Atlanta against some of the best pitching in the league. Now, maybe it's relaxed a little bit, and we're going to see the best of him today and maybe into the post.
And maybe that puts him on the postseason roster. We'll see. Michael Givens will be activated off the injured list today, and Givens will be the opener for the Mets today.
21 days rest, so he's ready to go, but he's never had a start in the major leagues. And for a guy that has done so much out of the bullpen, I bet you the nerves are still there for the veteran Michael Givens.
Trying to show that he's ready for a spot on the postseason roster. So a lot in the air today as the Mets play their final regular season game against the Nats. Mets and Nats on SNY. Your local Honda dealers. By Citizens Made Ready. And by the Tunnels to Towers Foundation. Help America's heroes. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation at T2T.org. Secure your seats for the 2023 season with a Mets membership, which gets you the best seats for the biggest games and amazing moments at Citi Field. Visit Mets.com/memberships for more information. Leaderboard stat brought to you by your local Ford stores. That is up to the minute. It's not official yet because if Freddie Freeman gets 3 more at-bats and goes 5 for 6, he would overtake Jeff McNeil.
Then why don't you tell me that? I wouldn't have yelled in the open. I thought it was over.
Well, it's sort of over. What's the likelihood he's going to get 6 at-bats today? They'd probably have to go extra innings.
Okay.
So a little intrigue there. But for the moment, Jeff's going to sit on that lead and become the second batting champion in New York Mets history. Last day of the regular season. Have a catch and get ready for the first pitch. It's coming right up. Door. Right to the dog. It's a chew toy now. And then McNeil. First time in Mets history that the Mets had hit back-to-back home runs to start a ball game. And now straight out of the smoke-filled room. Mets will take the field in the regular season for the final time. Nats will play their final game of the year, trying to avoid a 107th loss. There's their Hyundai starting lineup. No C.J. Abrams, who hurt his shoulder last night. No Victor Robles, who hurt his calf yesterday afternoon. Israel Pena, we dropped an S. It's Israel. He will catch. And there's Michael Givens making his first big league start.
Well, you see his Toyota numbers. Has not appeared in a game since the middle of September. But that run before then, 10 1/3 innings, he hadn't allowed a run. He was pitching his best baseball in a Mets uniform. What a way for this young man to go. A guy that started as a position player, became a reliever, and now here, well into his career, makes his first start. Defensively behind Michael Givens have some different names. The youngster Alvarez behind the plate. Vientos gets a start at third base. Lindor, Guillorme, and McCann. Remember, McCann started that one game a year ago and made that fine play at first. Canna, Gore, Naquin. I'm excited to watch Terrence Gore play an entire game.
He hasn't started a game since 2019 when he was with Kansas City. That's when he got the bulk of his big league playing time, other than being the designated base stealer. Kind of emblematic that Givens should come back against the Nats. After all, his first appearance for the Mets was against the Nationals in Washington, and it was ugly. He gave up 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning. But the next time he faced them on September the 2nd, he got 5 outs and did not give up a hit. And now he faces them as an opener. Trevor Williams was long tossing on the field. He was listed as the scheduled starter and will probably be the bulk guy behind Givens today. But Michael gets the opener's role. First time to the mound in 21 days, coming off the COVID injured list. And Lane Thomas swings and misses at his first fastball, and we're underway. Thomas 1 for 7 in this series. Named this week as the Nationals Player of the Year, which, you know, he's had a nice season, but it kind of gives you an idea of the kind of year that the Nats have had. And a slider off the plate to Thomas, 1-1.
They would have preferred it to be Ruiz or one of their younger players, but Thomas has had a solid year.
Or, you know, Soto.
Yeah, well.
Here's the 1-1. Or, you know, maybe like Strasburg. Or
You'll have plenty to see with Soto coming up here in the next few days.
Well, that is going to be part of the story, with the Padres coming in for the wild card series Friday, Saturday, and if necessary Sunday. 1-2 coming, and Thomas takes strike 3 call. Or did he get the count wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 2-2.
Strike 2.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it's the last day of the season. You're supposed to swing the bat the last day of the season.
I don't understand. Well, Thomas did swing at the first pitch.
We had an hour and 51-minute rain delay at the start. 2-2 coming, and he pops one up on the right side. McCann retreating, and he'll make the call and make the catch. Just the 6th career start for McCann at first base. He played some innings there late last night, and he catches the first out of this game. 1 down.
You know, on the last day of the season, there used to be a thing where you're supposed to swing at the first pitch. Game's over in 2 hours. Everyone goes home happy. Last night I had to do the Houston Astros against the Philadelphia Phillies. Altuve double on the first pitch. Pena 2-run home run in the first pitch. Single, 3-run home run as people are congratulating McNeil. They believe it's over. Gary told you the 5 for 6 is in play.
I think that it's probably not going to happen. I'm just telling you that it's not completely impossible. But here's the thing, and this is what Jeff's got to be thinking about now as Brett Baty smiles at him, is that apparently at some point earlier in the year, Francisco Lindor promised McNeil that if McNeil won the batting title, that Francisco would buy him a car.
What?
Now, there was no specific make or model mentioned, and I think that's probably subject to some negotiation, as that's pulled toward the hole by Garcia, and Luis Garcia has the first hit in this game.
Keith said if I won 15 games in '86, he'd buy my appetizer at Tokubai. But
and did you get it?
Times have changed.
Did you go for the shumai?
I did. The most expensive.
Second hit in the series for Garcia, the New York native.
They have a couple of left-handed hitters that have been very impressive against the Mets all season long.
I mean, it's not the first time in big league history that an automobile was promised as a prize. If you go back a couple of decades, remember the Chicago Cubs had a pitcher named Frank Castillo. Remember Frank?
Yes.
One of the worst hitting pitchers in the history of baseball. And his teammate was Brian McRae, who later played for the Mets. And Brian McRae promised Frank Castillo that if he hit a home run, even in batting practice, he would buy him a car. And it took like 3 years. But Castillo finally hit one out in batting practice, and sure enough, McRae bought him a brand new Mercedes.
Really?
He did. So I don't know what Jeff's getting for his batting title from Lindor. I know that, you know, Francisco can probably write a check for any vehicle out there that he cares to. But we'll find out the denouement over the next few days.
Well, Jeff's getting in line for that minivan kind of deal, isn't he?
Well, with all his pets, the dog and the cat, the kid
and
now,
a new child,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Might be like a Maserati minivan, but 3-0 to Joey Meneses, who's 3 for 8 in this series, and he takes a fastball for a strike, 3-1. Well, there's the first fender for the new vehicle.
Well, you can get stuff fixed around here, I'll tell you that.
I don't think he's going to stop smiling all day.
Oh, I mean, that's just something, you know, to win a batting title and to do it the way he's done it, kind of recaptured his old swing, his old approach, his old thoughts. He should be extremely proud of what he's done.
10-game hitting streak to finish off his year, assuming he doesn't play today. Hitting almost 500 during that stretch, and he was about 13 points behind Freeman a couple of weeks ago. Meneses fouls one off, so he made up a lot of ground and passed by Freddie, who went into a convenient for McNeil slump, going 0 for 10 before today when Freddie got a couple of hits, a double and a home run before flying out in his third at bat and pretty much sealing the deal for McNeil to join Jose Reyes as the only Mets to win a batting title. Runner goes, and Meneses fouls it off with Garcia in motion. Joey Meneses, one of the great stories of the last 2 months for a team that's been beleaguered this year. 30-year-old rookie who has done things that very few rookies his age have ever done. He's hitting .329 for the year. The Nats won a World Series 3 years ago, but they've got the lowest winning percentage against their own division of any team since divisional play began in 1969. 17 and 58 have been dominated by all 4 other teams in the division. Low throw, otherwise they might have gotten Garcia.
I mean, he has the quick feet of a former infielder. Cam with the swipe tag came up empty.
This time he doesn't run and is fouled back. Meneses, by hitting .329, has the highest batting average in his rookie year of any rookie 30 years or older since 1930, when a pair of Cardinals named Showboat Fisher and George Watkins hit .374 and .373 respectively. And Meneses is the best since then among aged rookies. Quite a feat after 12 years in the minors.
I love the stat I read about him the other day. I don't know exactly what the number of games were, but he had played in enough professional games than more than a lot of Hall of Famers had played in the major leagues.
I just want to know where Showboat Fisher got his name. Runner goes, and it's hit slowly down to third, where Mark Vientos, making his first start in the field, throws out Meneses for the second out as Garcia moves up to second. I mean, we don't have nicknames like Showboat Fisher anymore. Pepper Martin.
I love all those nicknames when I was a kid. Rabbit Moranville, right?
Hall of Famer. So 2 out Garcia at second. Here's Luke Voit, who's 1 for 8 in this series. By the way, McNeil was hitting .294 at the end of July. Since then, he's hit .371. So you talk about closing with a rush. That's drilled to left field, and Canha is there to grab it, and that retires the side. A hit and 1 left. Michael Gibbons with a respectable opening. That's come to bat, no score. Closing day was always traditionally on a Sunday, and would have been this year but for the lockout. And closing day has always been a pretty popular day for folks to come to the ballpark. Takes on a little different meaning when your team's going to the postseason, which the Mets are, and that's why you've got a very offbeat lineup on closing day. Brought to you by Geico. Francisco Alvarez getting his first start behind the plate. Mark Vientos his first start in the field. Terrence Gore his first start in 3 years.
Eric Fedde out there for the 27th start. 5.27 ERA. Las Vegas High School, UNLV, first round pick of the Nationals. Ball on the field.
It's only supposed to be 1 ball in play. That's lying on the warning track in front of the Nats dugout, and nobody seems to see it. And now they do.
They made Hank White get it. Henry Blanco.
That's legend Henry Blanca. Tyler Naquin hitless in his last 14 at bats, trying to finish his season strong. He's going to be one of the questions as far as making the postseason roster.
Well, he does present some things late in games. Great defense, some speed.
That's lined and caught by Meneses. Nice grab by the Nats first baseman, and Naquin retired, 1 out.
Well, good time to go to the Amtrak Nationals defense after a play like that from Meneses. To his left, good hops, right in the end of the glove. Can hit and field. Pineda behind the plate today.
Oh, we found his ass.
We did. Vargas, Garcia, and Meneses in the infield. Palacios, Call, and Lane Thomas in right field. Thomas has the best arm of the bunch.
Nice hand for Francisco Alvarez, who wowed the crowd last night with his first 2 big league hits. A home run and a double, both of which were just crushed after going 0 for 8 in his first go-round in Atlanta. He reintroduced himself in a big hurry.
Well, this is the home run from last night. Hang and breaking, but not even a hang and breaking ball. That ball was away enough, but he went down and got it.
439 feet for his first big league hit. The youngest catcher to homer since Pudge Rodriguez in 1992. Benny dents the outside corner with a sinker, and it's 2-2.
The at bat that got me for Alvarez. Were you watching the game when Dylan Lee and he matched up? And
yeah.
A lot of foul balls deep into the count. He had a bemused kind of smile on his face. Like, I've got this. I'm comfortable. And he ended up striking out on a good split finger change from Lee. But it was an interesting, I don't know, tete-a-tete.
There's certainly a very noticeable confidence in Francisco. That's too high, ball 4, and he works out a walk for the first time in the big leagues.
Buck Showalter said to you and I, he said, I hate to say this, but he's got it. And that's something to say about a young player. Something you would say about an actor or an actress. You know, they got it.
Here's Lindor. You might be wondering, well, why is Francisco Lindor playing today when Alonso's sitting, and Nimmo's sitting, and Escobar is sitting? Well, Lindor is a guy who is a rhythmic player and plays every day. And in Buck Showalter's words, he said he was a little cautious about the idea of having 2 days in a row off before Friday.
It's a lot of thought he put into it. Makes sense to me.
Lindor in a home run amongst those 3 in a row the Mets hit in the first inning last night. But he has not been swinging the bat particularly well, and I think that also plays into him wanting to get some at bats today.
You know, round numbers are nice for players at the end of the year, and he's right at 270 right now, so you want to get a knock to stay over that 270 level.
104 RBIs, career high, and 3rd in the National League.
And yes, players do think about that kind of stuff.
He's also scored 98 runs this year.
There you go.
So he's got a chance for another round number if he can score a couple of times. Mets already have one player who's reached 100 runs scored for the year. Nimmo's now scored 102. And Lindor flies one out to left. Palacios in a couple of strides. 2 out. Well, the Mets spent 175 days in first place this year. Not quite enough and not quite at the right time. But they have accomplished so much this year. Only the 4th 100-win season in franchise history. In fact, if they win today, they will have the 2nd most wins of any club in Mets history.
Right.
The 1988 team won 100. The 1969 team won 100. The only team that's won more than 100 was the 1986 team, which won 108. So they've got a chance to be second behind the 86 team if they win today. Here's Vogelbach, 1 for 6 in this series. Daniels now in the top 10 in the National League in walks. Incredibly discerning hitter. Goes after a high sinker there and fouls it back. 1-1. Mets are likely to face Yu Darvish in Game 1 of the wild card series on Friday. Neither Bob Melvin nor Buck Showalter has released his rotation, but there's no reason to think it's not going to be Darvish, who was just named National League Pitcher of the Month for September. And that means Vogelbach would be in the lineup for Game 1. At some point, if it goes 3 games, they'll face the lefty Blake Snell, and then the question will be, who is their right-handed DH? Will it be Alvarez? Is Darren Ruff ready to be activated? Could it be him? Mark Vientos? They've all filled that role.
Well, those are the hard calls that will have to be made. When does the roster have to be in?
Noon on Friday.
Noon on Friday?
Yeah.
Isn't there a game starting by noon on Friday?
Well, the Mets don't play till 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, they are noon on Friday.
Yeah.
Another team might be earlier. Okay.
That's lined into center field, a base hit for Vogelbach. Alvarez moves up to second. And so Vogelbach getting on a cutter from Fedde and lining it into center field, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Nice short stroke on that fastball away. It was like midsection high, and just that flat swing that he has at times produced that line drive.
So 2 on and 2 out. Now Marcana. Mark had a sacrifice fly in each game of the doubleheader yesterday. Went 2 for 5. Got hit for the 28th time. New career high. And that one almost hit him. Ball 1. So I was going to say about Darvish, you know, that is the biggest obstacle I think that the Mets face in that series against the Padres, and that the Mets can throw out those 3 guys, outstanding starting pitching, but so can the Padres.
Oh yes, and especially if Joe Musgrove is their 3rd pitcher, let's say. I mean, he's outstanding in his own right.
Musgrove just coming off 6 scoreless innings yesterday. Snell has been pitching well down the stretch. Darvish has been pitching great.
Look at Pete's trying to get in and then just shunning him.
That's drilled down the left field line by Canha, headed back toward the corner. It's out of here. Mark Canha lines a 3-run homer and gets the Mets off to a fast start on closing day. It's 3-0 New York. Number 13 for Canha.
Well, Gary, all season long, we've seen Mark, and there's a little box up and in that he covers, and when he covers that, that's his home run pitch. And the reason he's able to cover that is that he has no fear. That's the reason he's been hit 28 times. When the ball's inside, he does not move. So this ball from the grip with the 2-seamer from Erick Fedde trying to come in, that ball's right in the midsection high, and he just launches it down the line and keeps it fair.
Well, last night the Mets hit 3 straight homers to start the game. Today they get 3 runs with 1 swing of Mark Canha's bat. His first home run since September 10th, and its 13th of the year, makes it 3-0. That Mets home run means City will donate $2,000 to No Kid Hungry to help fight childhood hunger. Now more than ever, kids across America need our help. Guillorme takes a changeup down, and it's 1-1. Guillorme 4 for 7 in his career against Fedde.
Well, he's saying sometimes he has a ball that runs in, sometimes he has a ball that cuts.
Nessus in front of that ground ball. He'll take it himself to retire Guillorme to end the inning, but Canha's 3-run homer gets the Mets off quickly, 3-0 after 1. Community Home Runs fan of the game is Christina from Lynchburg, Virginia. Once watched Greg Jeffries as an 18-year-old shortstop in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Wow.
Go to sny.tv/CHR to enter. Good luck, Christina.
I think Dwight Gooden struck out 300 batters in Lynchburg, Virginia, and our trainer, one of the best trainers I've ever had, was from Lynchburg.
Steve
as well.
Garland.
That's right.
Yep. Trevor Williams takes over as the bulk pitcher today. His first outing in 8 days since he faced the Marlins last week.
Pretty cool. He gets into double figures and starts for this Mets ball club.
Ildemaro Vargas fouls it off, although this will technically not go in the books as a start for Trevor.
Oh, that's right. Jeez. I'm sorry.
It feels like a start, right?
Yeah, I left at 4 o'clock from my hotel in Houston, so I might have some absentee moments.
How was the traffic going to the ballpark? You fly out of Intercontinental or Hobby?
Intercontinental.
Yeah.
Gary. Yeah. There was absolutely no traffic. My driver was going about 105 miles an hour.
Did you go cab, Uber, Lyft, prearranged black car service?
Oh, this is my other job.
Oh, they go big time.
Got the nice car.
Very nice. Happy to hear that. Vargas 2 for 7 in the doubleheader yesterday. Playing shortstop with C.J. Abrams having banged up his shoulder yesterday. That's flied out to left, and Candace right there. And Vargas retired 1 out.
Be remiss if I didn't talk about how valuable Trevor Williams has been all season long. Rancho Bernardo High School, which also produced Cole Hamels, Arizona State. And then I didn't realize he had been drafted by the Marlins early, but then was traded to Pittsburgh.
Right.
And a coach was part of the trade. One of the pitching instructors that was involved with the Pittsburgh Pirates was part of the trade that went to Miami Marlins.
Didn't know that. Cesar Hernandez playing third base, and the switch hitter takes inside for ball 1. So, roster construction for a 3-game series. And Buck was talking about this early today. You know, there's a lot of data about how you prepare for a 5-game series, how you prepare for a 7-game series. There isn't nearly as much about how you prepare for a best of 3 series, because there just haven't been that many of them in baseball. Popped up foul, third base side. Vientos heading toward the dugout, but it goes out of play. And that's the Padres. Darvish, Musgrove, Snell have been outstanding. Soto has not performed as well as anybody would have hoped this year, either for the Nats or for the Padres, although he's been heating up lately. Manny Machado's been carrying their offense all year long. So you have a 26-man roster. If you were playing a 7-game series, you'd probably take advantage of all 13 slots you're allotted for pitchers.
Yeah.
But in a 3-game series, how many pitchers do you carry?
11.
Right?
For me.
Makes sense, right? Because you only need 3 starters.
I want to max out on my bench. That's what I would do.
Right. So that means 8 relievers. So do you keep your 4th and 5th starter in the bullpen, Carrasco and or Walker? Do you have a Trevor Williams on your roster? Because if you're getting blown out in a game, you might not want to use your primary relievers, or if you're way ahead in a game.
Blowing someone out,
right?
yeah.
But, or is that not necessary in a short series like that? And I think that affects whether Trevor gets picked in that opening series. Popped up on the right side, and Guillorme is there to grab a 2 out.
Well, I think it's more important to have a guy like Trevor Williams than it is to have a starter like Carrasco and Walker, because he can play a myriad of roles. You know, don't forget, we're in the postseason. No more of the silly base runner on second base in extra innings.
So you could
play 18 innings.
That's an outstanding point. And that's what I really hadn't thought about, that extra inning rule goes away in the postseason. But at the same time, if you do play a 17-inning game, as Alex Call lines one to left, and over comes Cat to grab it, side retire. Maybe you want to start it in the bullpen to go 6 innings if necessary. Williams throws a scoreless inning, 3-0 Mets in the second. You can vote for James McCann for the 2022 Roberto Clemente Award presented by Capital One, which recognizes players who best represent the game through positive contributions on and off the field. Vote today at MLB.com/Clemente21. Mark Vientos leading off in the home second. Vientos making his 7th start. All the previous ones have been at DH. Getting a chance to start at third base today. And he takes a sinker from Fedde, 1-1. Vientos 4 hits and 32 at bats. And certainly he is on the cusp as far as his postseason status. He bangs one up the middle for a base hit. And the Mets have their 3rd hit against Fedde.
Nice hitting by Vientos there. A little cutter up in the strike zone and got on top of it. And a ground ball to center field that found a hole against the traditional infield played there by the Nationals.
The 2023 defense. Postseason status.
Gary, you're going to have a ball up the middle. That's going to be a base hit.
Maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, the way the rule is written, you can still have a shortstop or second baseman an inch or two to either side of the bag. But there's James McCann, and he flares one over second. That's a base hit. Vientos pulls it at second. So McCann, who has really been struggling, 1 for his last 29 coming into that at bat, carves one into center field with 2 men on.
Whenever you're facing a sinker ball pitcher, you want to stay inside it, work the ball up the middle and the other way, and exactly your call, Gary. Just carved it out into center field. Vientos waits. Ball goes. Yeah, I think he was thinking of going to third base, but thought better of it.
Now Terrence Gore. Are you bunting?
No. Swing away.
He was bunting.
He was bunting. Well, think about it. He is going to maybe get an at bat in a crucial situation in the postseason where he might be asked to bunt.
Right. I mean, he is here to be the designated pinch runner. Drops down a gorgeous bunt, makes the third baseman handle it, and they throw him out at first, but you can't ask for a better bunt than the one that Terrence Gore just dropped down. 5-3 on the sacrifice, and he gets a nice hand for that.
I mean, perfect form. The bat was in a perfect position. Hernandez almost took his time here. Gore so fast.
That's his first career sacrifice bunt, which also calls to mind the fact that last night in their clincher against the Marlins, the Atlanta Braves had their first sacrifice bunt of the season.
That's right. Game 161.
They almost became the first team to go through an entire year without one. And now Vientos almost trapped off third, and now they've got McCann trapped off second. So that was poor base running by Vientos, who went halfway down, forcing McCann to follow him. And then Vientos thought better of it, and McCann gets tagged down on the 4-5 fielder's choice.
You're either coming or staying. There's no if. It is no way about it. You know, the third base coach is going to tell you on contact you're going. And just because you don't think you're going to make it, you still have to go. Because McCann would have moved up. You get into a pickle, and then Nate Gordon would have been on second base. You would have the same thing. But when you're told to go, you have to go.
Yeah. So now 2 out runners at the corners, and here's Francisco Alvarez.
That one will be in Buck's little black book.
It'll be part of the seminar in spring training. The contact play. Vientos at third, Naquin at first with 2 down. Alvarez walked and scored in front of Canna's home run in the first inning. Takes a sinker inside. It's 2-0.
This crowd's riled up.
I'm telling you, closing day crowds are always special. Certain fans who always come out the last of the season as kind of a celebration of the season just passed. And I think this is a useful tool for this team. You know, there's been so much negativity the last few days because of First the sweep in Atlanta, and then despite the doubleheader win last night, the Braves clinching the division. This is a team that's won 100 games and is going to the postseason for the first time in 6 years. And it's time for the team and its fan base to turn the page and get ready for what's to come. And I think this day kind of does that.
You think part of it is that they've invited the folks down lower in the and we're hearing a little more cheering? I mean, maybe it is really excited to be closer to the field.
I think that's probably true for some people. Not too often. There's ball 4, and Alvarez walks for the second time. It's not too often that a team wins 100 but doesn't win their division. It happened last year with the Dodgers finishing a game behind the 107-win Giants. But those are all the times that it's happened, just a half a dozen since divisional play began 53 years ago.
That's right. The A's finished behind Seattle 2001. Seattle won 116 that year.
It's the first time there have ever been 200-win teams in the National League East. And it's the first time in National League history that there have ever been 300-win teams in the National League. With the Mets, the Braves, and the Dodgers. Dodgers have 110 wins. That's the most for a National League team since 1909. There's Lindor with the bases
loaded, and he rockets one toward the gap in right center field. In to score is Vientos. Naquin right behind him, chugging around third. Alvarez, he heads for the plate, and he'll score on a bases clearing double by Lindor. 107 RBIs now for Francisco, and a 6-0 Met lead.
Well, if you're going to get a few extra at-bats in game 162, make the most of them. And he does here with this bullet. The swing on balance. When he's on balance, it's about as pretty a swing as you're going to see. And it splits the outfield defense. And Alvarez showing some nice speed here with 2 outs. He's chugging and gets the arm from Cora. He's going to try to beat him in there.
I love when Joey chases them home. We're hoping to be doing some more waving this weekend. So the Mets, who raced out to a 7-0 lead in the first inning last night, out to a 6-0 lead in the second inning today. And a sinker in for a strike to Vogelbach, and it's 0-2. 3-run homer by Canha in the first, 3-run double by Lindor in the second. Picked up a third hit, 3 for 4, but they're in the 8th inning with the Dodgers ahead, so it's almost impossible for him to get 2 more at bats unless somehow the Rockies find a way to tie that game up and get it to extra inning. So Jeff's still pretty secure. Said earlier, Freddie's 3 for 4. He would have to go 5 for 6 to catch McNeil. And he's just unlikely to get enough at bats. If he does get 1 more, he's got a chance for a milestone. Freddie does. He's got 199 hits right now. Vogelbach had a base hit, scored a run his first time, and he takes a curveball at his feet. And it's 3-2. Canha would be next. Three-two from Fetty. And Vogelbach got a piece of that. And the curveball in for a call, third strike. And Vogelbach caught looking to end the inning. But Lindor's 3-run double extends the Mets lead. And Joey Cora chases Francisco Alvarez all the way home. 6-0 New York. Here's your M&M fun facts. Terrence Gore has 3 World Series rings, which is more than he has career runs batted in. It's also more rings than his entire group of teammates combined.
Yeah, that's true. I just didn't.
Yeah. Josh Palacios leading off in the third for the Nats. The Brooklyn native takes off the plate. It's 2-0. Palacios 1 for 4 in this series. The pride of Telecommunications High School. And he pulls one down to first, and McCann handles it. And Williams gets over there, 1 out.
Well, playing different positions on game 162, and the little crossover from McCann. He didn't run over there, just tossed it to Trevor Williams covering.
So 1 out now. Israel Pineda looking for his first big league hit. 22-year-old out of Venezuela, making just his 4th big league start. And he flies 1 out to right, and Nate Gwynn is there. See, Pineda got the memo. 2 out.
This Nationals team's got the memo. They're doing what they're supposed to do. The problem is that the Mets are putting it in places that they can't catch it.
Well, this is what the Nats have done all year, right? They put the ball in play. They don't walk. They don't strike out. Although last night they struck out in droves, particularly against Taijuan Walker. Walker struck out 10 in 4 1/3 last night. The last time any pitcher did that, it was Noah Syndergaard in San Diego. Remember that series? Syndergaard for the Mets, and who was the pitcher for the Padres? Both gave up.
Big, tall, blonde-haired kid.
Yeah, 10 hits and 10 strikeouts in less than 5 innings. It had never been done before, and they did it on back-to-back nights.
Jeez.
It's Lane Thomas who popped up his first time up, and he fouls him back.
I saw Justin Verlander last night, struck out 10 in 5 perfect innings, 8 in a row.
I don't think there's been enough conversation this year about Verlander. There's been so much focus on Aaron Judge, and rightly so. But what Verlander has done this year is so beyond spectacular to come back from Tommy John surgery, to miss 2 years at age 39, and he's almost certainly going to win the Cy Young.
Yeah.
18 and 4, 1.75.
It'll give him 3 Cy Youngs, 3 no-hitters, an MVP. He's now 244 and 133.
The Astros are going to be a force to be contended with. 105 wins this year, top seed in the American League. Andrew Kashner, that was the guy for the Padres. And that just misses away as Thomas stops the swing. 2-2. Seattle Mariners, first time in the postseason in 21 years. They're going to open in Toronto. And the injury bug has hit them hard the last couple of days. Sam Haggerty, the former Met, who has been such a spark plug for them, he's done. Today, Jesse Winker, neck injury, he's done.
Dylan Moore, who gets a lot of at-bats for them, injured as well.
Right. They just got Julio Rodriguez back, so they've got some crimps in their postseason plan. 3-2. But they do have Luis Torrens. You see what Luis Torrens did last night?
No.
He was their winning pitcher.
Oh, that's right.
The catcher pitched the 10th inning against the Tigers and wound up being the winning pitcher. First position player other than Ohtani to get a win in 8 years. Popped up on the infield, and Lindor waves everybody else away. 1-2-3 inning for Trevor Williams. He's retired the first 6 after coming on in the second. 6-0 Mets. Home third inning. Mark Canha leads off against Erick Fedde. Canha belted a 3-run homer just inside the left field foul pole in the first. Canha's 13th home run gives him 61 runs driven in, and he takes curveball for a strike from Fedde. 1-1. Luis Guillorme on deck, and then Mark Vientos. As the Mets batted the third and the closer of the regular season. Game delayed almost 2 hours by rain, but a lot of people have stuck it out. Very enthusiastic crowd on closing day. Turned into closing night. I mean, Major League Baseball got this great idea about 10 years ago after that incredible end of season series of events in 2011. With the Tampa Bay comeback and was it the
ball dropping in front of Carl Crawford in Baltimore?
The Braves beating the Cardinals, or was it the Cardinals beating? It was all just 5 or 6 things that happened.
Robert Andino,
one after another, and so Major League Baseball came up with this idea, which was kind of counterintuitive because of the way the night went down. They were going to start every game at the same time on the last day. Well, the rain did not allow that to happen here. And Canha hooks one into left field, but that's down for a base hit. So Mark's got his 4th hit in this series. Standings presented by Google Pixel. Everything decided in all divisions, including the National League East, where the Braves clinched the division for the 5th straight year. Well, that's what's up next for the Mets. The Padres team that really gave them fits this year. Yu Darvish especially gave up just 1 earned run in 14 innings against the Mets in his 2 starts. And that bottom number really is the thing that the Mets need to contend with the most. Facing Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove in all probability, and trying to figure out how to put some runs up.
Dave Freed just sent me a number. Vogelbach against Yu Darvish, 2 for 3 with 2 RBI. It's a positive.
I mean, the Mets' game plan right from the beginning was to get DeGrom healthy and have the best 2 starting pitchers on the field in any postseason series.
Right.
And that's a great game plan, except here's the reality, and you don't know how it's going to play out. But since DeGrom came back in early August, in games that DeGrom and Scherzer have started, Mets are 10-10.
Yeah, the 10-10. I thought they were game over 500, but
line into center field, the base hit for Guillorme. So you can have the best starting pitcher on the field, but your team has to generate enough offense. And, you know, we saw that in Atlanta. Scherzer and DeGrom were not at their best. Neither was Bassett, but the Mets couldn't score enough runs against a Braves team where the starters didn't pitch particularly well.
Still, this team all season long has thrived because their starting pitcher gives them 5, 6 really good innings. So they're usually ahead or at least tied with a low run count by that time when they really kick it into gear, and they weren't able to do that in Atlanta. For them to do this from the wild card spot, either Scherzer or DeGrom is going to have a Steven Strasburg 2019 postseason.
Right.
One of those guys is going to have to do that, and that's be perfect for a month.
Now let me ask you this, because there's been a lot of conversation about this the last few days, and we should know more about this by tonight or tomorrow. But how would you structure the 3 starting pitchers, knowing it's a best-of-3 series and hoping that if you win the first 2 games, you can have your ace or one of your aces going in the next series in game 1? Do you put Scherzer and DeGrom back-to-back in some order and say Bassett for game 3, or do you put Bassett in between them?
I don't think you can live with yourself if you don't put those 2 guys back-to-back, Gary, and try to blow San Diego out of the water. That's what I would do. And one thing I will say, and maybe it really does matter for those 2, it wouldn't bother me what order you use those two in, but I would use both of those two in the first 2 games. Yes.
I'm going to be fascinated to see how they structure it. And you know, some people say, well, you go with, say, Scherzer in game 1, and if you win, you pitch Bassett in game 2. But if you lose, you put DeGrom in game 2. But in terms of their preparation for their starts, I think that doesn't really play so well.
It doesn't. I think they're creatures of habit, and they get ready for a day, and they don't want to be rushed ahead of that day, and they don't want to be pushed past that day. We saw what happened in Atlanta when that occurred.
Right.
Oh, that's nice. Look at it. I mean, that's a lot of talent right there. Wow.
I mean, what it tells you is that it's a pretty even matchup as far as starters are concerned. Yeah. And, you know, what you don't know right now, as Vientos fouls one off, is what is Jacob DeGrom right now? Is he the guy that we saw the first 3 or 4 starts where he was completely unhittable? Or is he the guy we've seen the last 2 or 3 where he's been more human?
I can't answer that question. Yeah, it's only he can answer that question. Jeremy Hefner's help.
Of course, he was dealing with a bit of a blister his last start. Was that a factor? Is that a factor in terms of him needing more rest going into the postseason? Those are all things we may not find out for sure till after the fact. Vientos at a base hit to center field his first time up. Canha at second, Guillorme at first with nobody out. Curveball fouled off, and Vientos having himself a good turn at bat.
But with those two at the top of their game, if that happens, be quite a ride for this Mets team.
Absolutely, and that's what we've been dreaming on since spring training. Jam shot hit towards short. Vargas gets the out at second, and that's all. Slowly hit ground ball. They get the 6-4 force on Guillorme for the first out. Canha goes to third. I mean, it would have been wonderful had DeGrom not suffered the injury in spring training that set him back for 4 months. What would the Mets have accomplished this year had they had DeGrom and Scherzer in the rotation all season?
But what would they do if DeGrom, after a season that was filled with injury, at 185 inning point? Right. So who knows? Maybe that's a blessing.
Maybe he's just about to hit his stride. Here's McCann, who singled to center his first time, and he takes sinker inside.
And I think for the offense, Gary, there was a time during the year that we just marveled at their ability to push even good pitching past their point, broke their will, made them throw so many pitches in the first 2 innings, fouled off tough pitches.
McCann drives one to deep left field. Back goes Palacios at the wall. It's out of here. James McCann with a monstrous 3-run homer. 3rd home run of the year for McCann. And the Mets have put up 3 in each of the first 3 innings. They lead at 9-0.
Working on the run differential tonight.
Three-run homer Canha, 3-run double Lindor, 3-run homer McCann.
Base hit in his first at bat. See that big dot on that slider. Easy for big league hitters to read, and hit far into the night by McCann.
Off the facing of the second deck.
Eyes right on that baseball, and the lift with the follow through.
So the Mets pummeling Eric Fedde in these first 3 innings. Nats are going to get their bullpen cranking now as Terrence Gore takes outside a ball and a strike. Gore had to sacrifice his first time up. The Mets trying to put an emphatic punctuation on this regular season after sweeping a doubleheader yesterday. And off to an impressive start with an offbeat lineup today.
And Gore lines one in the left field for a base hit.
Terrence Gore's first hit in 3 years. His first hit as a Met. And everybody's hitting today.
He's gotten 2 semi-standing ovations for a sac bunt and a jam shot. I love it. Quick little bat from Gore. Sinker running up and in.
First big league hit since 2019 when he played for Kansas City, and everybody in that dugout celebrating the guy who has the most World Series rings on the club. And now he's got a hit. Pitching change for the Nats. Ball to the bullpen brought to you by Nissan. Shop NissanUSA.com. We'll be right back. As the regular season comes to an end, get daily updates on the Mets and Yankees postseason run from our team of baseball insiders. Baseball Night in New York presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers, weeknights at 6, only on SNY. Mason Thompson worked an inning last night.
It's from Round Rock, Texas, where the Houston Astros have their AAA franchise.
Third inning, and Tyler Naquin's up for the 3rd time. He's lined out to first and hit to a fielder's choice. So it's the 3rd inning. It's 9-0. Does Terrence Gore have to call off the jam?
I was hoping they'd pinch run for him.
Now that would have been funny. Maybe Vogelback?
Yeah, why not? Come on, if we're going to have fun, let's have fun.
1-on-1 to Naquin. Last time the Mets scored at least 3 runs in each of the first 3 innings, 2002, 20 years ago in Arizona. 10-1 win against Rick Helling.
Pitched for Texas and
Cleveland.
Yep.
Yeah. James McCann talking with Eric Chavez about his swing. Well, what a boon it would be if McCann could provide a little bit of offense. 1-2 to Naquin. Does not appear as though Gore is going to be running.
I mean, I saw a game earlier this year where it was 9-2 later than this. 6th inning, maybe? No, 11-2. And they ran the San Francisco Giants.
Double play ball. Vargas with the turn for the 4-6-3 double play. That ends the inning, but McCann's 3-run homer adds to the carnage. It's 9-0 Mets after 3. There's your line score. That's putting together a pretty good poker hand. 3 threes to start the night. 9-0 lead. Tomorrow the crew discusses the big improvement Zach Wilson showed in his season debut, plus the game-changing performance from Quinnen Williams on Jets Game Plan tomorrow at 7, only on SNY. Luis Garcia leads off the 4th inning against Trevor Williams, who's retired all 6 batters he's faced and is coming on as the bulk pitcher in the 2nd. And this is with a curveball, ball 1. It is official. The Dodger game is final. Freddie Freeman finished 3 for 4, which is a nice day, but it wasn't enough. And so Jeff McNeil is officially your National League batting champion. Congratulations to Jeff. Just the 2nd man ever to win a batting title. Jose Reyes in 2011, and now McNeil in 2022.
And you know, he did it while we were talking about a lot of the Mets struggling against that Atlanta pitching staff. He did most of that great work then.
Freeman finished at 325. McNeil, if he doesn't play today, 326. Close. Well, no cigar for Freddie. Down the way 1-2. But he and his 111 win Dodgers can rest up for their potential date with the Mets.
Freddie fit in nicely in Los Angeles, didn't he?
You know, he might have been sad at one point when they visited Atlanta. He kind of spilled over emotionally, And I thought one of the turning points of the Dodgers season, there's a good changeup by Williams to get Garcia for his first strikeout, was when Clayton Kershaw basically called Freddie out and said, you know, it's great that you have great memories, but you play for us now.
You're in Dodger blue now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, a lot of people were surprised that Clayton went there, but he's the only guy that could go there.
Right. Well, Freddie may not have won the batting title this year, but he led the National League in runs, in hits, in doubles, and an on-base percentage. So McNeil got the batting championship, but Freddie's got plenty on his plate. McCann catches Meneses' foul pop up, and Williams keeps rolling. He's retired 8 straight. And now Luke Voit, who saw one pitch and lined out to left field his first time up.
Luke Voigt's had an interesting career, right? Came up in St. Louis with his hometown team. He's from there. Got some big hits, but then traded away during the pandemic year of 2020. Led the majors in home runs. Got the Magnum PI look with the jersey.
Well, he likes keeping some buttons unbuttoned. I mean, it's a little chillier now, so it's not quite as unbuttoned as he was in the summertime. But he's got, he's got a little bit of the old school Burt Reynolds look going there.
Got some lettuce hanging out.
It's not quite Tom Jones, but you know, it's Virgin. It's on the outside corner strike, and it's 1-2.
One thing he can do, he can rake, man.
He was the unexpected piece of that trade with the Padres when Eric Hosmer said no. Voit, who didn't have a choice, got included in the deal. And he goes down swinging on a high fastball. Williams 9 up and 9 down. That's his second strikeout. 9-0 Mets. Tribute to Jeff McNeil. Highest batting average in the major leagues this year. I like the Mets in gold there. That's really a nice touch. Fans wanting a curtain call. Here comes Jeff.
Nice. Well, he is. He's the gold standard this season.
It's an amazing accomplishment for a guy who is probably built to win a batting title better than any hitter in the game. And he proved it this year. A great stretch drive to overcome Goldschmidt and Freeman and win it going away.
Maybe not the numbers, but barring injury, he's the kind of hitter that could go on a box run where he could win 3, 4, 5 in a row. Box, of course, did more than that.
He is a happy fellow. Now he's got to start dialing in Yu Darvish. Taken inside by Alvarez, and it's 1-1. I mean, the thing about Darvish is, and you know, we talk about it all the time with Bassett and the number of weapons in his arsenal, but Darvish has the same number of weapons with a little more velocity.
Yes.
Alvarez takes a strike with a slider from Mason Thompson. Those are the career numbers for Darvish against the Mets. Even better this year with a 0.64 ERA, 1 earned run in 14 innings.
And his breaking pitches are sharp. You know, I was listening to some people say, boy, Darvish really can, you know, has good numbers against the Mets. He has good numbers against everyone. Have you seen his career numbers?
And he had a wonderful September, named National League Pitcher of the Month, so he's on a roll right now. But it hasn't always gone well for Darvish in the postseason.
Oh.
You know, his experience with the Dodgers was not a pleasant one. But he's a little bit older, a little more mature now, and it's going to be the task for McNeil and the Mets to try and figure him out. Alvarez fouls one away. Alvarez has been up twice, walked both times, scored 2 runs.
Padres have a nice defensive ball club as well.
You know who's got good numbers against Darvish? James McCann. 4 for 10, 2 home runs. And McCann's had a nice day today. I mean, you figure off the recent developments that Nido would get the bulk of the playing time in the postseason, but with those numbers, does that affect the lineup decision for Game 1?
Considering what he's done tonight, I think it's already starting to affect it.
Alvarez down on strikes on the slider from Thompson, and that's the first out of the home fourth. And that's the interesting thing, right? As you work toward and through the postseason, is that you have preconceived notions about how things are going to go, and plans can change on a dime based on results. Injuries,
anything that comes up.
One piece that doesn't look like it's going to be in place for the Mets is Starling Marte. It just doesn't look like he's going to be ready anytime soon, certainly not this weekend. And that puts a huge crimp in the Mets batting order. It moves Lindor into that 2-hole in all probability, where Marte held the fort all year.
Well, if you say that Lindor and Alonso have been kind of their team's MVP rocks because they play every day, Marte's the guy that they could least afford to lose. And the only reason I say that is because what they've done against left-handers, he always got his hits against left-handed pitching. Didn't matter how good it was.
61 games. That's quite an accomplishment, especially considering the fractured finger.
Yeah.
Only kept him out for 1 game.
Showed a lot of toughness this year, did Lindor. What a year.
And yet that's not the most games played by a shortstop in the National League East this year. Dansby Swanson went for 162 today.
That's right.
2-2 to Lindor. But what a transformation from last year to this year. And it's not just the raw numbers, it's just the comfort level, the dealings with the media, the dealings with his teammates, the defense. It's just all been a progression for Lindor in year 2. Grounds went into the shift. And Garcia throws him out 2 away.
It certainly has been a New York maturation for Lindor.
Not quite. I wouldn't want to compare it to Carlos Beltran's first and second year, because I think in many ways that was even more stark.
Okay.
Because Lindor had a pretty good last 2 months last year. But I think it was important for the Mets to surround him with the right kind of players. And I think they did that this year.
More of a veteran team. Escobar to his right.
Is Vogelbach, who has singled and struck out 1 for 2. And a fastball strike, 0-1. Thompson gets a slider in for a strike, 0-2. Well, next year we'll never see a shift like this. To have 2 infielders on each side of second base, all infielders on the dirt.
Until Tampa Bay brings in their left fielder against Vogelbach and puts him in the outfield, or where the infielder's playing now.
Right, you can put your left fielder in shallow right, play 2 outfielders, and essentially a 5-man infield. And a swing and a miss. Vogelbach does not attempt to go to first. That retires the side. After 4, 9-0 New York. Also opening the Topps baseball cards, we decided to give the Topps baseball cards to the kids.
What a great idea. Why weren't we doing that all the time? That's awesome. I like to see what they find attractive. What's their go-to card? Ohtani?
Trevor Williams continues on into the 5th inning. 9 up and 9 down for Trevor in relief. Waldemar Vargas flied out to left his first time up. Michael Givens was the opener today. Gave up a hit in a scoreless inning in his first outing in 3 weeks. One thing that's been interesting for the Mets over the last couple of weeks is that you went from a bullpen where you basically had 3 guys in the circle of trust. Diaz and Ottavino and Lugo, and all of a sudden a lot of other pieces are falling into place. Drew Smith has come back and pitched effectively. The 2 lefties, Rodriguez and Peterson, both have looked sharp.
I like that inning plus of work Trevor May had in Atlanta.
Right. So with Givens coming back successfully today, how does he fit into the mix? Because he was really starting to get it going before the 3 weeks on the COVID list. By the way, to make room for Givens today, the Mets placed Tyler McGill on the injured list, no designation. It was appearing as though McGill was not going to make it to the postseason roster anyway, because he had not really performed all that well since moving to the bullpen.
And as regards to Trevor Williams,
what just happened?
I don't know. An umpire was asking him if he was asking for time, or I can't say what he did. The umpire thought he was doing a kind of an obscene gesture to him for the lack of the strike call, but he wasn't. He was just adjusting part of his equipment.
Gotcha.
Is that all right to say it that way?
We are right on the same page with you. If anybody would like a better explanation, just email us.
I'll see you after the game. With regards to Trevor Williams, is there too many innings that he pitches in this game that takes him out of the weekend?
Right. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good indication with him coming out to pitch a 4th inning that he's probably not going to be on the roster for the wild card series. And of course, if you win the wild card series, then you can adjust your roster for the 5-game division series, which would be against the Dodgers. Fly ball into shallow center. Gore coming on, and Gore picks it off in front of Lindor's face.
He picked it off and then hit Lindor with his glove.
Yeah, that was not part of the plan.
Comes in, snatches it with that great speed, and then no. Oh, ole. I got it.
Big eyes there. Don't collide with me. I'm a little guy. 10 in a row retired by Williams, and that's hit sharply and through McCann and into right field off the bat of Cesar Hernandez. And that'll be a base hit for Hernandez. We'll just eat up McCann.
Nothing you can do here if you're a first baseman. I don't care if you're a Gold Glover. When it's hit this hard with that much topspin, you just go into that semi dive and throw your leather where you think the ball's going to be. I got a question for you, Gary, because I've thought about it. I wonder if you've thought about it. I'm sure you have. Would you rather face the Dodgers in a 5-game series or a 7-game series?
We were just talking about that last night. You know, they're so deep. Tell me first before I answer the question.
Okay.
Obviously, Julio Urias is going to be their game 1 starter in the wild card or the division series. Fly ball toward the left field corner off the bat of Call right near the wall. McCann leaps, but it's out of here. A home run for Alex Call to get the Nationals on the board. 5th home run of the year for Call. A 2-run shot, and now it's 9-2. So Call, first pitch swinging, bangs one just beyond the leap of Canha for a 2-run shot.
Seemed like it was a fastball just up in the zone, and Call got to it and just hit a towering shot that just would not come out of the air and rattles off the fencing.
So Alex Call, who began his season with Cleveland, finishing it well for the Nats with a 2-run shot. And now Josh Palacios. So Urias goes in game 1. Kershaw in game 2 or 3. Who are their other starters? Is it going to be Gonsolin, who's just back off the injured list?
Just back. I'm missing one of their people. Tyler Anderson has had a good year. I guess it would be Anderson, especially if they face the Mets. What Anderson did against the Mets in a couple of starts.
Well, we all know the Mets are more vulnerable against left-handed pitching. So if they can throw 3 lefties with Arias, Anderson, and Kershaw against the Mets, that might make sense. 2-2 to Palacios. You know, the Dodgers have such a deep lineup, but do you think about the ends of games? How are they going to handle that? I mean, Kimbrel's clearly not going to be their closer, so who gets the ball in the 9th inning?
Gratterall is, a name that could get the ball. Trinan never came around.
Right. So, I mean, for a team that's won 111 games, there are some question marks there. And the Mets played well against the Dodgers. So, are you better off facing them in 5 or in 7? I don't know.
Yeah, Andrew Heaney's another name we left out.
Yeah, in some ways the Mets starting pitching seems a little deeper, and maybe you'd rather face them in a 7-game series, especially with the preponderance of lefties that they can throw at you in a 5-game series. On the inside corner, Palacios caught looking, and that's the 2nd out. 3rd strikeout for Williams. What do you think?
I think a 5-game series. They've shown that over the course of 162 they won 111. So pushed, they're going to win more than they lose, way more than they lose. I think you have a chance in a short series. You take game 1 to sneak past them. I think the Nationals in 2019, when they won their World Championship, they would not have beat them in 7, but they did beat them in 5.
Right. Israel Pineda lines a base hit. There's his first big league hit. The 22-year-old from Venezuela, after going 0 for 11 to start his career, has his first hit, and they'll take that baseball out of play and authenticate it.
Congratulations to Pineda. It's like a rite of passage in September baseball that young players get their first hit.
Nice to get out of the way before the end of the season. Don't want that hanging over you. Nelson Cruz takes possession of it, pretends to throw it away. That's also a rite of passage.
They'll be doing that 100 years from now. Good swing by Pineda. Gets it a little off the end of the bat. I think it was a breaking ball from Trevor Williams.
By the way, Cruz told the media today that he's going to need to have eye surgery after the season. Age 42. He's been out for the last few weeks with some eye inflammation. I think it's something similar to what Eddie Rosario had earlier this year with the Braves. But the question is, 43 next year. Does he get the kind of contract he got this year? He didn't perform all that well.
I think he's going to try. I would think that he'd try to come back. He doesn't want to end his career in a year where he's hadn't had his best year, and also with the eye problem.
I mean, Albert Pujols has certainly shown that you can perform at age 42.
Yeah.
Probably would be okay at 43 too. Hit sharply to short, and the force play ends the inning. 2-run homer by Call gets the Nats on the board halfway through in the regular season finale. 9-2 New York. If you know a local basketball league in need, apply today at sny.tv/playball. Rosmo Ramirez, who worked an inning last night, comes back for his final appearance of the season.
Talk about a rubber arm. This guy could throw every single night. A veteran of 10 major league seasons, says Ramirez. Did you go to the Harlem Globetrotters when you were a kid?
No.
No.
But I used to watch the cartoons on Saturday morning.
Oh, that was great.
Remember that?
Yes,
Meadowlark
of course.
and Curly.
That's right.
Cartoon form. Mark Cannon's got a 3-run homer and a single. He's driven in 3, scored 2 today. And he hammers one on the ground to third. Hernandez behind the bag. Strong throw, 1 pitch for Ramirez, and 1 out in the home 5th. So Jeff McNeil wins the batting title. .326 average. There are 5 players in Mets history who put together better batting averages in a season.
John Olerud.
John Olerud hit .354 in 1998. Did not win the batting title. Larry Walker beat him out. I think Walker at .366 that year.
Reyes with his batting title.
Reyes .337 in 2011.
Oh, Piazza has to be up there.
Nope.
No.
He was with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
.360 one year as a Dodger, but not as a Met. Guillorme takes a strike.
Gilkey?
One guy you played with on the list, not Bernard. No, he had .317. That was his best.
The '69 team, the left fielder.
Yes, Cleon Jones.
Cleon Jones. He had .341.
.340. Finished third in the batting race that year.
And I played with this cat, right?
Played with one, and not there are 2 more. Played with one now.
Dave Magadan have a big year.
Dave Magadan, .328 1990. He finished third in the batting race. And the one guy everybody forgets, 1996, 227 hits, 21 triples.
Ex-Cardinal.
Ex-White Sox.
White Sox. Johnson.
Lance Johnson at .333 in 1996.
You know what's great about this job is that right now, probably in a trivia contest, I'm about a C- in Mets history, like Mets history of the Mets. I would never know any of that stuff other than the years I played if it wasn't for you.
You know, a few years ago, SNY decided to do a game show contest. And the first year that we did it, the contest was the TV booth versus the radio booth. And, you know, there were all sorts of different Mets trivia questions. And it was you, me, and Keith against Howie, and I think it was Josh Lewin.
Yeah, it was Josh.
Seth Everett at the time. And it came down to the last round, and it was like one of these pyramid things where you give clues. I think I gave the clues and you gave the answers, and one of the clues was I was supposed to get you to say Mel Stottlemyre. And so I said, "You're pitching coach."
Yes.
And you got it just like that.
Okay.
And Howie protested. He said, "You're pitching coach. Which one am I going to get?" Comebacker, and Guillorme is retired for the second out.
He thought it was rigged. How he felt that it was.
My point is that we worked together well as a team.
Yes. Yeah.
You and I.
We would be good. Are you good at charades?
Not so good at charades.
Okay. All right.
Or Pictionary.
Well, I was going to invite you over for game night. No, forget it.
But what I also remember about that trivia contest was that the first 2 or 3 rounds, Keith was awful. Didn't contribute anything, got wrong answers.
Well, he also was like bitter. Like, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. And then he warmed up a little bit.
Well, the last round, he got like the key question that won the game for us. It was like him going 0 for 3 and then getting the big 2-out hit in the bottom of the 8th.
He reminded us, too, that he got that.
Well, yeah. That's how he rolls.
I remember 2 things about that show. Kevin Burkhardt in his clothes and mic. That was one. And then Josh Lewin had a jacket that would have been big for me. He had like a size 44
really?
long jacket, and Josh is smaller stature.
Like a Max Headroom kind of
thing. David Byrne.
There you go, David Byrne. Perfect. Mark Vientos is 1 for 2. And he lines one back up the middle for a base hit. So Vientos with his second hit of the day, hitting it right back through the originator. Big Mark Vientos fan. Got the chain going.
That ball was hit on the nose.
Ramirez was fortunate to not be in the way of this one.
Yeah. Good, powerful swing. Really uses his legs, Vientos, in his swing. That ball just skips right through Ramirez.
So the Mets have their 10th hit in this game. And here's McCann, who's got 2 of them, a single and a 3-run homer. Anyway, my point is that you have gotten better at trivia as we've moved along in this job.
I've tried to remember. It was painstaking the first couple of years.
Well, you know what's funny? We have different strengths, right? Because obviously you played here in the 80s, so you're very strong in that decade. The 80s are my dark decade.
Yeah,
I was
right.
out of town for most of the 80s. And you were basically out of town for most of the 90s and the 2000s.
Yeah, I was 93 to 98. You started mentioning Bernard Gilkey. I was like, he played here? I had no idea.
So we cover each other's gaps. 0-2 to McCann. And it's fouled back. And then Dave Fried is over there muttering by our side. I don't know what he's saying.
He knows every year.
Saying something about trivia, and there should be another trivia show, and he wants to be on the trivia show.
Oh, he does.
He wants Bob Waterman to team up with him.
Listen, they might have all the answers, but what a snooze fest that show would be.
Well, it depends if they're essay questions.
That's right.
0-2 to McCann, and that's off the plate. Well, we may be missing Keith for these last couple of weeks following his shoulder surgery. We're hoping to hear from Keith before the end of the day. We don't know, how his day is going today. Some days are better than others, but we do have Dave, and we're always thankful to have Dave in the booth.
We really are. Thank you, Dave, for all your hard work
and for keeping the atmosphere light, because we always feel as though you're right on board with us. McCann swings and misses for strike 3, and that'll do it for the bottom of the 5th. Mets have a 9-2 lead going to the 6th. Okay, we go to the 6th inning. Mets with a 9-2 lead. Luis Garcia leads off against Trevor Williams and swings over a curveball. Garcia 1 for 2, singled back in the 1st, struck out in the 4th. Williams starting his 5th inning of relief after Michael Givens served as the opener today. Garcia, Meneses, and Voit. And Garcia is going to plunk one down into right center field for a base hit. That's his 2nd hit of the day.
Been very impressed with Garcia all season long when the Mets have played. He's taken some tough at-bats against tough left-handed pitching that's Mets set up there. And he gets his hits. He's just one of those players. McNeil-like.
17 hits in 39 at-bats against the Mets.
Maybe that's why.
That's good, right? I was looking at some numbers just now. We were talking about the Dodgers before. You know how rare 111 wins is? I'm about to tell you how rare it is. There's Meneses, who's 0 for 2. There are only 3 teams in Major League history who have won more than 111 games. The 2001 Mariners, you know about them, 116, didn't make it to the World Series. The 1906 Cubs won 116 games.
154 games?
Yeah.
Yes.
They lost to the White Sox in the World Series, right? The hitless wonders. And the 98 Yankees won 114. Those are the only 3 teams. The 1954 Indians won 111.
Oh, okay.
And then got swept by the Giants in the World Series. So that's the interesting part, right? The Mariners didn't win the World Series. The Cubs, when they won 116, didn't win the World Series. The Indians didn't win the World Series. The Yankees of 98 are the only team to win that many games and go the distance. 1-1 to Meneses.
Well, Dave Roberts, 1-loss record as a manager.
Is that now 10 straight years in the postseason?
Yep.
9 division titles.
Only one was last year when they won 106.
Right. And then they beat the team in front of them in the postseason. Although, I have to say, Wilmer still has not swung.
He has not. What a terrible way to end that game.
It really was. Is that all the moon we've got left?
That moon horizon.
It's late early around here. One-two coming. And Meneses tries to hold the swing, and he went around strike 3. All half swings are strikes on closing day. 4th strikeout for Williams. 1 out of the 6th. Mets have only struck out 4 today. They struck out 17 in the game last night. Coming into today, the Mets had the best strikeout differential in the major leagues. The pitchers coming into the day had struck out 350 more than the Mets hitters have struck out. It's the 2nd best differential for any National League team since at least 1906. Bested only by the 1990 Mets.
Really?
Which you were a part. They were plus 366.
No memory.
Well, you had a lot of good strikeout pitchers on that staff.
That's right.
Starting with Doc and Viola,
Sid, Coney.
Right. That was quite a staff. Which is, why you got, waylaid.
I got another word for it, but
can you say it on TV?
you can't say it on TV, I don't think. And if I don't think, then I don't.
I think Bobby O feels the same way.
Oh, I know he does.
See, in those days, managers were not quite as creative. That's grounded toward 3rd, grabbed by Vientos, bobbles slightly, but gets the out at 2nd, and Guillorme does the rest. 5-4-3 double play ends the inning. Still 9-2 New York. Terrence Gore leads off the home 6th. Been a nice day for Gore. Got his first hit in 3 seasons his last time up. Also has a sacrifice. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Erasmo Ramirez working his 2nd inning in relief. Tyler Naquin on deck. Then Francisco Alvarez for the Mets. Gore is now 1 for 5 as a Met, with 3 stolen bases. We're asking about Dave Roberts' record as Dodgers manager. How about this? 653 wins, 380 losses. That's a .632 winning percent. Chopped toward 3rd, a foul ball. A lot of transitions at the end of a baseball season. You know about Albert Pujols retiring and Yadier Molina retiring. I want to send a shout out to your friend Dennis Eckersley.
yes.
Who's retiring after 50 years in the game as a Red Sox broadcaster.
Peace. That's my nickname for him. If you knew him, you'd know why. Everything he says ends in peace. Guy has a great slide piece, but he's one of the greatest human beings I've ever met on or away from the baseball field. Just so unique, so real. Gore goes down, strikeout, so authentic, and he's been through hell in his life, and he repaired himself. He repaired a lot of his relationships, and I just loved the guy. Loved being around him, and I don't know, over the course of a lifetime, there's maybe a half dozen people that really influence your life. He was one of those for me.
And I mean, what a fantastic career as a player. And I don't know if he ever set out to be a broadcaster, but there have been few more entertaining on the television
That's right.
than Ed.
And, you know, it wasn't easy. He had to go over there and take up some remaining games from the Rem Dog, Jerry Remy, who was, you know, God rest his soul, he was one of the most popular broadcasters in the history of that area. And he seamlessly fit in, picked up when Jerry got sick at times, picked up when Jerry passed away, and is beloved by that fan base.
I mean, he got the largest ovation, and I know, you know, he's had run-ins with the players in the past, but the players came out on the field today and gave him a standing ovation.
I know that'll mean the world to him. Now he wants to spend more time in California because his daughter had twins, and he wants to spend more time around his grandkids. But he used to always, Eck has a very some salty language at times, and he used to get so mad at me when I played with the A's, because in the off season he would go back home to Sudbury, Mass, and I would stay in California, close to where he grew up in Fremont. And it just used to irritate him so much that he had to go back to Boston in the winter because he loves the Bronx and be out in the sun, and then I could stay in California. He said, why are you not going home to Massachusetts and me staying in California?
Well, he was very emotional in his final days broadcasting for the Red Sox, and you know, had great things to say about Boston and being there. And you know, he was originally with the Indians, and threw a no-hitter for them, and remade his career as a closer in Tony La Russa's bullpen for the A's.
He's had a lot of reinvention, you know. With the Indians, he was going to be the next young, brash, great right-handed pitcher. Threw a no-hitter there. Traded surprisingly to the Red Sox, where he won 20 games, but that welcome wore out after a while. Went to the Cubs, where probably he had his less productive years when he was a starting pitcher with the Cubs, and then was shipped to Oakland. And in Oakland, they figured a way to get him to pitch at the end of ball games, set him up in a way with Rick Honeycutt and Gene Nelson and others, so that he would only pitch that 9th inning, and as dominant as anyone I've ever seen. It was a different strike zone then. If you had great control, and you saw it with Maddox, Glavine, and others, you could bite off 3, 4, 5 inches off the plate, and Eck could throw it to a spot like no one had ever seen before.
197 wins, 390 saves. He had 51 saves as a 37-year-old. 2 out and nobody on. Here's Alvarez up for the 4th time, and he chops one over the mound. Vargas to his left, the spinorama, and he throws him out to end the inning. Let's go 1, 2, 3 in the bottom of the 6th. On to the 7th, 9-2 New York. Thanks, Julie. 66,667, huh? How did he figure that exactly? Seventh inning, Ildemaro Vargas leads off. Trevor Williams has already worked 5 innings in relief, given up 2 runs and 4 hits. Vargas has gone 0 for 2, flied out twice. So it's a day for talking about happy endings, right?
Yeah.
And we were just talking about Dennis Eckersley and finishing his long career as a player and a broadcaster. Stephen Vogt playing his last game today for the Oakland Athletics. Announced a couple of weeks ago he was retiring. The A's had his kids announce him on the PA today, and in his last game in the 7th inning he just hit a home run.
Probably his last at bat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Vargas flies one down the left field line. I mean, Vogt's a special guy too. I mean,
he's just one of he's one of those teammates that wherever he played, you'll ask 1,000 big leaguers if he had 1,000 big league teammates, they'll all say he was their favorite teammate.
And there's the final in that game.
He beat Ohtani.
I think Ohtani came out after 5. Yeah. He had no hitter going for a while. Ohtani became the first player ever to qualify for the ERA title and the batting title in the same season. Up the middle, and Vargas has a base hit. Well, speaking of teammates, and we've been without our favorite teammate for the last couple of weeks. Keith undergoing shoulder surgery, and I believe we have him on the phone. Keith, are you there?
I'm here. I've got to have you on speaker because it seems to be the best way to communicate. There's not enough. The reception out here is awful.
Well, welcome back. It's good to have you back on the air. It's been too long. How are you feeling? What's going on in your rehab? What's going down?
Well, I'm a week out today. Today is I've been so spaced out. It's Wednesday, I believe, and I had surgery on. It's Thursday, so I'm 1 week out of surgery, and I'm feeling much better. The first 3 days were rough. Shoulders are real tough, and I'm still not sleeping well but I'm off all the medication, that's for sure. I'm at a point of getting off that, but I miss you guys.
You sure about that? I mean, saying it's Wednesday, I believe. I mean, that throws a little monkey wrench into the whole conversation.
Well, you know how baseball players are. The only day I ever knew when I played, the only day I was positive was Sunday, and why? Because it was a day game.
Keith, what exactly did they do to your shoulder? Like, what was the operation on?
I literally tore my supraspinatus, Ron.
Wow.
I'm sure you got 3 tendons in the shoulder,
yep.
The one on top. It tore completely from the bone when I fell on my shoulder, when I tripped and fell. And it literally ripped the tendon from the bone on not my lower neck, on the shoulder side where it attaches. And they just they said it was good that it happened that way because all they had to do was pull it over and put the pins in and reattach. But it's going to be a long recovery. The sooner the pain goes away, the better. I'll tell you that.
Now, it's always hard to end the season on the injured list. I mean, how are you feeling about the incomplete nature of your year?
This is how I feel, Garrett. I played 13 years in the friggin' big league, and I never was on the IL. My first 13 years, I was never on the IL. Here I am out of uniform now for how many years, and this is my 7th surgery. I mean, I would rather have them out of uniform and be able to play the career that I had, 17 years, relatively healthy. But isn't it ironic that that's what's happened to me in the second half of my life?
Well, I think it's unfortunate that you've missed these last couple of weeks, because we really missed having you around and getting your take on stuff. But I'll tell you the thing that I feel the worst about in terms of you not being here at Citi Field the last couple of weeks is having you here to see your number next to Willie Mays' number up in the rafters.
Oh, I saw it on TV, and a lot of people sent me photos, Gary, of the 2 numbers together. And boy, oh boy, growing up as a kid, being able to watch Willie Mays play in San Francisco as a kid, and now seeing him play in person, and then now have his number up next to mine, I mean, I feel like, I'm unworthy.
Well, Keith, since no one's really listening, I would advise, because you've missed these last couple of weeks, that when you go into your hotly contested contract negotiations, you try to wash away these games that you've had to miss at the end of the season. Make sure that those just go away, because it's not your fault that you hurt yourself.
Wait a second, his contract is up?
I think.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Are you saying this could be the last conversation that the 3 of us ever have?
Well, that's not in my hands. I would love to come back, that's for sure. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy working with you guys.
Well,
and
we miss you.
I particularly enjoy watching this team.
We miss you terribly. What are your thoughts about the Mets and the Padres?
I haven't seen the Padres in a while. They've got some pitching. It's good that the Mets turned on the offense a little bit here the last 3 games. You know, anything can happen in a short series, and this is a 3-game series. The Mets have the home field advantage. I always feel that's critical in postseason. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll step up. You got to tip your hat to the Braves. They played great, and not that the Mets faltered. The Braves played almost 800 ball for almost 2 months, and that's just incredible, and you got to tip your hat to them. And also, congratulations to Jeff McNeil. Let me tell you, he came a long way, and the field had to come back to him a little bit, because Freddie at one point was at 340, if I remember. And he certainly did, and it's a great accomplishment for Jeff. And it's also a double bullet point right there. That, Jeff, those home runs, the heck with them, those line drives, now you are a batting champion. And I know it's not thought of so much today with analytics. It's a big deal, something to hang your hat on. It is a great accomplishment. Congratulations.
I'll tell you what, it's a big deal for Jeff as Palacios gets a base hit. He'll leg this into 2 bases. So the Nats have runners at second and third. I know Jeff is just over the moon about it. You can tell he's the happiest he's been in a long time.
Standing ovation, Keith, for that accomplishment when they announced it on the board.
Curtain call.
I was watching when I came out of I was sitting in front of the fire and I kind of dozed off. I woke up right when he took his hat off in front of the dugout, and it was acknowledged. And it's a wonderful feeling, and I can tell Jeff, welcome to the club.
I know we would be remiss, and all your fans and his fans would be really upset if I didn't ask you, how's Haji?
Haji's very pleased that I've been home, and he's doing the same thing, waking me up in the morning, all the good stuff. It's good to be around him. I am hopeful that I'll be able to. I can't drive right now, because if I do with a sling on and I get in an accident, I'm legally in trouble. My doctor's surgeon doesn't want me to do it, nor my PT. I have my first PT, but I'm hoping maybe we'll take it a day at a time, but we'll hopefully get for the divisional series, if not the championship series. I'll be back there. I guess SNY is doing the post and pregame, correct?
Of course, we'll be there out on the plaza with Gary and Todd and the cast of thousands. But it'll be a better show if you're there.
I will do my best to get there. Trust me.
I know that if we ask for volunteers, there are probably a few Met fans who would be willing to drive you from Sag Harbor.
I think I'll pass on. I think so, or I get a car service and I'll bump the bill up to SNY.
I'll let Matt know.
That's great.
Well, by the way, you guys have been great down the stretch run here. You guys were great in Atlanta. I watched the games, of course.
We were only there for 1 day, Keith.
Yeah, but it was a big important game, and there were important games prior to that, leading up to it, that I missed. And even though it was the Marlins for 2, you guys were just terrific.
Well, thanks, Keith. We sure missed you, and we're upping the tally for 3-man boots last year. We were just talking about it before the game.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, we've been kind of bullish in that for a long time. Maybe we can get it done this year.
All right, well, if you need us to go in and help you negotiate your contract, let us know. In the meantime, feel better, and we hope to see you on the pre- and post-game shows soon.
Okay, Gary, Ronnie, and Russ, and everybody, hello, and I'll see you soon.
See you, buddy.
Bye, Keith. Stretch time, 9-2 New York. Congratulations to tonight's City Community Home Runs fan of the game, Christina, who as of now has won a $50 gift card, Mets autograph, and Mets prize pack. Don't forget, receive 25 additional entries by donating $5 or more to No Kid Hungry. Well, Trevor Williams put on quite a show today. Went 6 innings in relief through 79 pitches, allowed just 2 runs. Obviously, he's not going to be on the wild card roster with the 6th inning he threw today, but able to give everybody who needed a rest going into the postseason the proper rest, and really that's been a big piece of his value this year.
Yeah, he should be awfully proud of the season he had for the Mets. Hunter Harvey in for the Nationals.
Harvey worked an inning in the 2nd game last night. No runs, no hits. Francisco Lindor takes a big cut at a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. Lindor hit a 3-run double back in the 2nd. Mets got a 3-run homer from Canha in the 1st. 3-run double from Lindor in the 2nd. 3-run homer from McCann in the 3rd. All of that off Eric Fetty, who gave up 9 runs and 2 1/3. And some serious gas from Hunter Harvey.
It's hard to believe he might have a bigger arm than his dad. His dad was such a fine pitcher. First closer, right, for the Florida Marlins?
Ryan Harvey. They had Charlie Huff as their ace, and Ryan Harvey as their closer. Grounded on the left side. And a throw across the diamond by Hernandez. That's a 5-3 put out, 1 out. Well, the Padres have just announced officially that Yu Darvish is going to go in Game 1 against the Mets on Friday night. And they have not announced 2nd and 3rd starters. I would imagine that when Buck reveals who his starter is going to be Friday, he'll probably do the same.
Yes. No reason to give anyone a competitive advantage to start prepping early.
Vogelbach's 1 for 3 today. And takes the lone away ball 1.
The Padres lost to the Giants today, which means the Giants ended up finishing with a flurry to get to 500.
Yeah. Really was a flurry. There were, what, 9 games under 500 not long ago. Meanwhile, the Braves lost today, which means that if the Mets win, they will finish in a first place tie. Which means that last game in Atlanta, which gave the Braves the season series 10 games to 9, will be what decides the division.
Wow. Doesn't get much closer than that.
Have you noticed that Dave Fried has been muttering this entire game? He keeps muttering. He's muttering again.
I never know what he's saying when he's not muttering.
Funny thing is, I can sort of hear him off to the side. I don't know whether it's going on the air, but he's muttering about how it would have been game 163, but it wasn't. The Braves would have played to win today, and they may not have lost. We don't know that. Strike 3 called. He's trying to have a conversation with me while we're doing the broadcast. I think he's fearing that he's going to miss me when the season is over.
Well, you guys are connected at the hip. You guys are either so excited about working together, occasionally a little irritated, you trying to decipher the things he writes to you, and he just has his hands going and he's flashing these cards and no one can read them, and you know, he always points it to me like it's going to be something that it's going to be an epiphany, something that's going to change the arc of my career. And I'm like, no, it's not.
It's got every element of a marriage without any of the benefits.
Thank goodness. But he's the best. I honestly get to work with a lot of stat people on the road for the Turner job, and it's just an honor and a pleasure to work with Dave.
I'm glad to be able to share him with the Mike Breens and the Ian Eagles of the world. Still work with Shoes and Two, with Bob. I mean, all the elite broadcasters, and us.
Have you ever heard Ian Eagle do his imitation of Dave?
No, but I'm sure it's great.
Oh, it's one of the best I've ever heard.
It's hilarious.
He did a whole shtick on what Dave Fried would say while trying to make a connection at the airport.
Kind of strikes out. 1-2-3 inning for Harvey. Can only imagine. Well, there he is in his corner. He's got the best seat. Zeal and Blevins. Oh, Jeff McNeil's coming on the field, and he's going to replace Francisco Lindor.
Oh, that's nice.
That is pretty symbolic, isn't it, of how far this team has come in the last year?
How far they've come in their relationship. Nice gesture by Buck to give Francisco a chance to come off to the standing O of the crowd.
So McNeil comes in to play second. Guillorme moves over to short. Spot in the batting order not likely to come up in the 8th inning. And I'm assuming that they've already done the math to make sure that McNeil would keep the batting title even if he were to make an out. Otherwise, they probably pulled for a pinch hitter. Trevor May will pitch in the top of the 8th. Trevor looked awfully good Sunday night, his last outing.
Throwing hard, had control of his changeup, especially away to the right-handed hitters, and build on that here tonight.
Lane Thomas has gone 0 for 3. And May falls behind him 2-0. So Trevor Williams goes 6 innings in relief, 2 runs, 6 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Got a great note here from Jacob Resnick. In Mets history, pitchers with 20 relief appearances, 9 starts, and an ERA below 3.3. Kevin Coble, 1978.
Okay.
Pete Falcone, 1981. Terry Leach, 1987. Trevor Williams, 2022. Talk about versatility and effectiveness in a variety of different roles. Gets slowly on the ground, and Guillorme slides over to get it and throws out Thomas one away. So kudos to Trevor Williams. That's a really good season.
Yeah, great season, and kudos also to Jacob Resnick. We've gotten a lot of fine things from that young thinking man.
He started out as a kid caster. He's come a long way.
That usually ruins people.
That's just because of us.
Half a day in the booth.
Sometimes they can overcome that. He looks so happy. Batting champion.
Yeah,
it looks good on him.
You feel taller, feel better, more handsome. I mean,
it's quite great heights for a squirrel to climb. Garcia pops one up in foul ground. Alvarez will watch the sell on play. It's 0-2. Expecting mobile high-speed hitting. Mark Vientos. It went right back through Erasmo Ramirez at 112. The hardest hit ball of this game. So Dave Freed has done the math just to check. And if McNeil gets an at bat and makes an out, he will still be ahead of Freeman in the batting race. And I'm sure the Mets figured that out before they put him out in the field. Although the Mets would have to have a big inning, he's not due to bat until 7th in the 8th. He just looked over to Guillorme and said, I can go 0 for 1. So he knows. Not that he has any plans to, mind you. McCann makes the play over to May, and he beats Garcia to the bag. A little dance move for the second out.
I was just thinking, if he does get up, and if he were to make an out, will he throw his helmet even as a batting champion?
Probably.
Nice play by McCann.
Although he's done a much better job in that regard. Yeah. One thing, he's made fewer outs this year.
That helps.
But he's also, the temperament has certainly, at least outwardly, moderated. I'm sure he still burns inside with every out. So 2 out and nobody on. That Joey Meneses has gone 0 for 3 today. Nats 2 runs, 7 hits. Mets 9 runs and 10 hits. Michael Gibbons was the opener, worked a scoreless first. Trevor Williams the next 6, and now May taking care of the 8th. He spins one inside, ball 1. Come home to familiar faces for daily Mets postseason coverage on SNY for every Mets playoff game. It all begins with our wild card coverage on Tri-Acura Mets Playoff Live tomorrow at 6:30 right here on SNY. Of course, we'll be in place for pre and post game coverage before and after every Mets postseason game, regardless of what network it might air on.
I do have to say, as a broadcaster, I'm going to miss the one-game wild card games. They were fun to do. It's like doing Game 7 on day one, but this is much more fair.
I have to say, it wasn't so much fun the last time the Mets participated in that affair.
Against the Giants, right?
I mean, Noah Syndergaard was brilliant that night, but Madison Bumgarner was better. And Connor Gillespie was the hero, and it went very quickly. You know who has the Mets' last postseason hit?
Oh, I do know. Kind of a littler guy, infield, outfield.
Played for Team Israel.
Yes, no, I just can't come up with
Ty Kelly.
Yes, Ty.
Ty Kelly has the last postseason hit in Mets history.
Whenever I think of Team Israel, I always come up with Kelly.
Well, they had the Mensch on the bench.
There you go.
And May walks Meneses. That's the first walk issued by Mets pitching tonight. Wasn't this supposed to be a day game?
It was.
It's 8:24.
I was wondering if I could give a little shout out myself, Gary. I wanted to congratulate you. I got off the plane today at noon, and I open up my Twitter, and I see that you were nominated for the Ford Frick Award. This is what, the second time that you've been nominated? And from all of us, so well deserved, and good luck. I mean, that would be awesome.
Well, just to be nominated is an absolute thrill, especially with the group of people that are nominated with me. They're all fantastic broadcasters, some of my better friends. So, you know, I'm trying to, at some point, crack my Susan Lucci streak. and you know, I'm patient.
Well, the Susan Lucci streak you're talking about is the Emmy,
right? The
local Emmy,
right?
We can bypass the local Emmys, go straight to the Hall.
That, you know, Cooperstown, whatever.
That's right. Well, congratulations. That's so great, and I put a smile on my face.
Well, you helped carry me there, so thank you.
No carrying involved. If it happens, we're taking that entire weekend off. I don't care who they get to sit in this booth. I'm talking about the guys in the truck, camera people, everybody.
Well, it goes back to something I've been saying for years. Hall of Fame induction ceremonies, should be no games going on in baseball.
I agree.
Half swing, and boy, it did not go wrong. Two coming to Voit, and the slider off the plate, 3-2.
May and Lugo and Ottavino, they're going to have to at some point get Manny Machado out in a big spot.
Swing and a miss. May goes upstairs to strike out Voit, and another successful inning for Trevor May. That sends us to the bottom of the 8th and the regular season finale. Those hands can handle anything. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night after the post game, looking ahead to the wild card series between the Mets and Padres. It starts on Friday night. Jets and Giants get ready for their weekend tilts. Geico Sports Night tonight and every night right here on SNY.
I'm ready for us to travel to London at some point, right? Play a couple ball games.
Is there going to be Major League Baseball in London next year?
I think so. I think the Cubs and St. Louis maybe are playing there.
That already? Well, one of these days.
You went to Japan, right, with the team?
Japan, went to Mexico. It's Monterrey. We played the first Major League games in Mexico. Puerto Rico.
I was thinking, what bitter irony for this Nationals team. when they were a really good offensive team, they always struggled with their bullpen. And now they're a young team trying to find their way. Of course, haven't had a good year, and their bullpen has excellent young arms in it.
Kyle Finnegan coming in behind Hunter Harvey. Two pieces to build on for the future. They've got some elements on this team. I mean, you look at their up the middle with Keibert Ruiz, who's hurt right now, the young catcher, switch hitter, Luis Garcia and C.J. Abrams. They've got the makings of starting to put together the next good Washington team.
They got a couple of young pitchers. If Mackenzie Gore, who they got in the trade for Juan Soto, pans out, big left-hander with a big arm.
What they don't know is whether Steven Strasburg is ever going to contribute again. Strasburg, since the World Series in 2019, has thrown a total of 31 innings. And I believe I read today he's going to need another surgery this offseason.
It's like a Robert Johnson crossroads moment, right?
Guillorme's 1 for 3, started the game at second base, moved over to shortstop when Lindor came out. And Finnegan throws a fastball by him for strike 3.
Thank God we're going to London with the pitch timer. I mean, that's important.
Why?
Because they're used to their sport, football. They're running all day long. Lots of, maybe not scoring.
I was just going to say they may be moving around a lot, but you know there are long stretches where nothing happens in soccer too.
I'm addicted to Premier League. If you get into it Saturday mornings, it is awesome.
Better than cartoons?
I'm not a cartoon guy. It's you and Keith with the cartoons.
Vientos takes a strike. You know, the best Saturday and Sunday morning sport ever was roller derby back in the day.
That's right.
That was the great weekend morning sport. Well, it wasn't really a sport, but it was entertainment.
Well, I'm ready to call the jam off in this season.
Well,
I'll tell you that.
Just about ready to call off the jam. Hands on the hips, ready to go.
My son watches a cartoon called Big City Greens. If you have young kids, you know what the cartoon's about. But we had to stop him from watching it because it's kind of a southern family, and we had to bring him to the dentist ground out here from Vientos, 6-3, and he said, "Mommy, I got a hurdy tooth."
Oh.
I said, "Hurdy tooth? Where'd you get that from?" Big City Greens. No longer gets to watch Big City Greens.
When he gets a little older, you can expose him to dialect. After he's already developed his own dialect.
Yeah, he hasn't developed that yet, so we'd like to stay away from hurdy tooth.
Here's James McCann, who had a 3-run homer back in the third. Looks like Joely Rodriguez is getting ready to finish off this game. He's warming up in the Mets bullpen. Been one of the nice developments for the Mets over the last couple of weeks. For so long they didn't have a reliable left-handed reliever, and now all of a sudden it seems like they have a couple, because both Joely Rodriguez and David Peterson have been pitching well. And when you're facing a series in which one of the featured performers is Juan Soto, you need somebody reliable who's left-handed who can come in and get a big out. Joely and Peterson have also filled that bill.
Got Soto in his last 16 games, 8 extra base hits, 9 RBIs, 431 on base. So
that's hit hard, and McCann's got his 3rd hit of the day. So a very encouraging day for James McCann. T-Mobile coverage cam. Back to the 3rd inning, and McCann's blast.
Kind of the end of the day for Eric Fetty. 3 in the first, 3 in the second, and this 3-run home run in the 3rd.
Get it off the facing of the second deck. 3rd home run of the year for McCann. You know who's also been hot just the last few days for the Padres after missing a big chunk of the season is Will Myers. And we didn't see Myers either of the series that the Mets played against the Padres, but he could be a real X factor. Terrence Moore fouls one off.
8 extra base hits, 12 RBIs in his last 19. But you're right. They've had a down year offensively, and Machado really has been the main player for them.
But you know, they've got pieces. They've got guys like Jurickson Profar, who just tore up the Mets in the series out in San Diego, and Jake Cronenworth, who's had big games against the Mets. And it's Trent Grisham, who has some postseason experience.
Yeah.
Although not necessarily happy postseason experience. The Nats remember him well from the wild card game when he was with the Brewers.
2019. Well, Bob Melvin, the Padres with 18 to go got shut out 4-0. And he talked to his team, and he went up one side and he went down the other. And he said it was an embarrassment, and it didn't look like we were into the game at all. No effort. And they went 11-6 down the stretch.
That's what they needed to do to lock down that 5th seed. 1-2 coming to Gore. And so both Nola brothers are in the postseason.
That's right.
Aaron for the Phillies and Austin for the Padres. Thought that the Nolas would be from New Orleans, but they're from Baton Rouge. 2-2 coming, grounded right back to Finnegan, and that retires the side. 3 more outs to get in the regular season. Looks like Joely Rodriguez will come in to try and get him. 9-2 going to the 9th. Well, he's no longer watching Big City Green, but he's got his trumpet.
He's got his trumpet, and he Katsukashis, my son, he loves the Mets. He's all about every morning. He needs to watch the highlights. He wants to know what Lindor did because Lindor is his favorite player. He loves the whole atmosphere of going to the game. All about it.
And by the way, it's great that he's got Joanna's smile.
Yeah, exactly. Just look like her, and we'll be good. He'll be in good shape.
Joely Rodriguez tries to get the final 3 outs of the regular season. Ildemaro Vargas will be the first man to face him. So let's see, 8:07 Friday night, 7:37 Saturday night, and if necessary, for the moment, 7:37 Sunday, although that game time could change.
I don't think that'll change. If that's a game 3 against the Padres and the Mets, prime time.
They said that if one of the series
and Cleveland, I think,
over, yeah, that they might move that up to 4 o'clock on Sunday. But
oh boy,
those things are always flexible. That's lined to left field and will stay up for Canha, and that's the first out. And of course, we will have pre and post game coverage on SNY. Which series are you headed off for?
I'm doing the Yankees. So
you're not doing the wild card.
Yeah, the Yankees are going to face the winner of the Guardians and Tampa Bay. Yeah, usually I do the wild card, but it's a different package now. ESPN, ABC is in charge of all the wild card games.
The Guardians 23-6 going into today, coming down the stretch, the hottest team in baseball. Chopped on the ground by Hernandez. In comes Guillorme with the quick toss. And just like that, the Nationals are down to their final out. Closing day crowd of over 27,000. Sat through a 2-hour rain delay today. And sending the Mets off to the postseason, which begins right here on Friday night.
In Buck we trust.
Alex Call hit a 2-run homer for the only Nationals runs today. Buck Showalter's going to take his 4th different team to the postseason.
That's an ingenious sign. Very nice.
Wild card, so what? And the Nats are down to their final strike. Well, you have to put disappointment in the past. Disappointment in not winning the division. But the Mets about to forge the second best regular season in New York Mets history. 108 wins in 1986, the only thing that will best this team.
I spent a long time with Dusty Baker last night, very concerned about the 5 days off in between series. He's been calling everyone he knows to try to figure out a way to keep his team sharp.
There's so much to learn this year for the teams that are in the wild card. Best of 3, which is something new for baseball for most teams, and the 5 days off for the teams that aren't in the wild card. They got the byes. Something else that's fairly new. 1-2 coming. Call bounces one foul. Two. Off the plate from Joely, 2-2.
What a year that young man had. Edwin Diaz, historic.
Look at Cy Young votes.
Yep.
You know, got chances in the postseason to enhance it. 2-2. That's hooked down the left field line, and that's going to fall for a hit for Cole and roll into the corner. And Cole's got his second extra base hit of the day. So you can't call this game just yet.
He was fooled, but kind of just flipped it into left field. 2 hits on the day.
Nice way to finish the season with a home run and a double. And now Josh Palacios, who had a double his last time up. The Nats, barring a huge rally here, are going to lose 107 games just 3 years after winning the World Series. Fortunes change in a big hurry. That's why the most sought after quality in baseball is sustained success. And that is awfully hard to come by. That's what the Mets are hoping has begun this year. Knee high strike, and it's 1-1. Will tapper back to Joely, and the ball game is over. The 2022 New York Mets conclude the regular season with 101 wins, the second most in the 61-year history of the franchise. And the Mets go into the postseason on a positive note, sweeping the Washington Nationals to get to 101 wins, and they'll get ready for their wild card series with the Padres starting on Friday night.
Well, you just have to be so proud of this team and this organization, what they pulled off this year to win 101 games. I played with a team that won a little more than that. It's a very difficult thing to do. You talk about sustained success. Well, they did it for almost all of the season this year. And batting champion #1, Jeff McNeil.
Well, the journey's just starting for this team, but the 6 months that have just passed are something to be awfully proud of. Only the 1986 team that won 108 games forged more victories in a season than this group. 101 wins for Buck Showalter in his first year as Mets skipper, and he'll take his 4th different team into the postseason as the Mets get ready for the best of 3 wild card series with the Padres starting 2 nights from now. Game summary presented by the Farmer's Dog. Jeff McNeil, National League batting champ. Trevor Williams, 6 strong innings in relief to get the win as the Mets finish at 101 and 61 in the regular season. For every Mets win, the Amazing Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Katz Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cats. With today's win, the total contribution this season was $252,500. Mets wrap up the regular season with a 9-2 win over the Nats. Ronnie will now be back in just a moment.